This is Heritage Week, and we're turning our attention now from the built heritage to the written word. Have you ever wondered what was going through your mind as a child? Well, if you're somebody who kept a diary, you'll probably be familiar with that giddy feeling you get when you find an old diary and see what was written decades ago. We have some very special school notebooks. They were written in 1937 and 1938, and we have been reuniting them with their authors 77 years after they were written. Niall Martin has the story.
Children, they say, are sponges, and in the late 1930s the canny folk at the Irish Folklore Commission decided to squeeze those sponges. They recruited school children around the country to write about their lives and the stories they heard under 50 different headings.
There's about 5,000 schools represented, all from the what was then the Sarasota area, the Free State. Anything between 20 and 30,000 school children took part. And then if you extend that beyond the people from whom they recorded the traditions, if you take those into account, there's many thousands more. The teachers would prod the children into going home, speaking to their parents and grandparents and neighbours, and recording traditions in a systematic and an orderly way, if you like. We get a good sense of the world of the children. We also get the worldview of their parents.
This is John Boyle, former pupil of Lúnasa School, Annagary, County Donegal.
And that's me, number 4 there, number 4. This scheme came out from Duchas to collect stories, see. And we asked then, not everyone did, but some of the children did, to write stories from some of our neighbours or somebody they knew, or some old person. So I took it on anyway, and I got a story. My grandfather lived next door to us in Lúnasa, and he was a great storyteller. But I was too young at the time. He told so many stories. He would sit all night, sit like that all night, telling stories. I would fill in the fianna, washing the Nog, German Grania, all these stories.
At Dublin City University, they're busily working on putting the school's collection online. The Department of Arts, Heritage and Gaeltacht have funded the first stage of the project.
We've put Dublin, Waterford, Mayo and Donegal online already, and we're in the process of putting Galway online, and that'll be available shortly.
The children who wrote the copybooks in 1937 and 38 were aged between 12 and 14. So anyone who took part in the project would now be in their late 80s and early 90s. We set out to find some of them. Today, Keevan Loughlin from UCD's Folklore Department is reuniting Christina Bridgman from Leixlip with the copybooks she wrote 76 years ago.
Nice to meet you too. I have here your notebook that we've been keeping for you since 1938. Have you seen it since?
No.
So, here you go. Do you remember your handwriting being like that?
I do. Well, they always showed my handwriting in the class, you know. Beautiful. The teacher said I was a beautiful handwriter, you know.
So, did you have a happy childhood then?
Very happy. It was simple, but it was very happy. We enjoyed ourselves. We made our own, you know. You had to ring a rosy and skipping rope and playing hopscotch and all that kind of thing, you know. That's all we had at that time. I'm delighted to have it in my hand now, really. It's sad in a way, I suppose, you know, after all, when you think about it.
Christina's daughter Linda is fascinated by the cures her mother wrote about.
A cure for toothache is to get a frog by the 2 legs and rub it on your gums. A cure for sore throat is to tie a hairy worm around your neck. To cure warts, every time you meet a black snail, rub it on the wart. Another cure is to get an ass and put the child under and over him 3 times.
This tiny ruin used to be Tullymore School near Ardra, County Donegal. Nan Sweeney, who is now 90, was one of the school children who took part in the folklore project in her class.
That's what was my school, yeah, it was. But it was a good school. I left it before I was 14 to help with the farm work at home, and The Sally rods grew down there that we were slapped with. She never had a cane, she always slapped with a Sally rod. Good rough Sally rods too. But that's the way she taught us. I'd have done us no harm.
This is Nan's original copybook from 1938. Her handwriting was immaculate.
I always thought I was a bad writer, but that wasn't bad at all.
In 1938, Nan wrote an essay about local beliefs and pishogues.
I do remember about the cock now crowing. If the cock crows at midnight on the 12th day after Christmas, all dangers past for that year. We never heard a cock crowing at that time, but people used to say that anyway. You know, I remember them saying that. And if a cow calved on a hot Sunday, no one liked to buy that calf, as it said that it would kill or be killed. I remember that.
Some of the material from the Donegal schools is about to be published in a book.
The publication itself was actually researched and written by Ethne Gallagher from the Royal Irish Academy. So I suppose she was closest to the collection itself. And again, I suppose one of the reasons we're drawing attention to the 1930 schools collection is because it is incredibly rich. It tells a tremendously rich story in terms of the history and heritage of the area, in terms of the folklore and the folk life of the area. It's got songs, it's got stories, it's got music. It's got information on customs and traditions in the local area as well. So it's tremendously rich, and it gives us an insight into Ireland in the 1930s and also to a previous generation, taking us back to the 19th century.
In Newton Cunningham, former Donegal TD Hugh Conahan is another of the authors of the copybooks.
I was very surprised that such a documentation existed, and it's very gratifying to see that I've lived to the age I have and been able to witness what now is becoming a major concern right across the whole country.
In the days before TV and video games, riddles were popular.
You wrote as a 12-year-old a little riddle. What can a black hen do that a white hen can't?
Well, I might have knew that at that time, but I don't know it now.
A black hen can lay a white egg, but a white hen can't lay a black egg.
There was great excitement around the country when the 1911 census went online some years ago. And the Schools project has huge potential for families to gather round the laptop to see what Granny or Grandad wrote when they were 12 or 13.
Quite a number of these people, we have to remember, are still happily with us, and they're up about the age of 90 now. And many of them come in quite regularly to look at these. But now we can deliver these online, and the fun and the excitement of being able to download a high-resolution colour copy of your grandparents' handwriting is quite special, I think.
Well, you know what to do now. Up into the attic and root out those old diaries and find out what you were thinking and writing as a child. I reckon you'll be very, very intrigued and enthralled, and it'll be a lovely piece of nostalgia.